Leonard Nimoy, who used to come around Pittsburgh occasionally, had a sort of hit single called That Is Highly Illogical back in the 70s, I think it was. It would be next to impossible to explain to most people the concept of yo-yimbo, which is a form of warfare. It goes over their heads, but it's basically a third party entering a feud between two strong parties and weakening them by pretending to hit both sides without them being aware that it's a third party's manipulation. What we're actually seeing in the media mecca puppet show is a dialogue box speaking from all sides at once while giving the impression that a feud is going on, when in reality, it's one central control, command and control, pushing buttons as a form of PlayStation to perpetuate its dialogue from both sides. And the brilliance at UW Dialectical are involved through right wing Hollywood with this maniacal manipulation of our public trust. One good example of the underpinnings of this highly illogical operation from the hidden hand of what we consider government is what happened with the Beatles. Everybody loves the Beatles, right? But they came like Jack Ruby's Carousel Club with a bunch of striptease ideas, the hair generation, and so on. So that's supposed to be good. You're supposed to cut out on your own. David Bowie will be exciting to you, and he knows that you're out on your own and you've outshined all your rivals and so on and so forth. You know, you're the lucky one that everybody notices and so forth. Meanwhile, they don't address anything in public education. Instead, the military is sent out as prowlers to watch this kind of shenanigan and tune in to the ones that fall into the shadows, who strike out for individuality and strike out in the attempt to get noticed. And trafficking takes root in these places. I've seen it myself. Tom O'Connor used to lure young aspirants to acting and wow them, and they were enthralled with his masculinity. And they didn't ever go anywhere but to his bedroom, I guess. And of course, he hired a lot of black people, despite the fact that he was a racist. I'm going to get myself in trouble talking about him, but he was one of Schulman's cronies. He owned the Flynn construction van, a friend of Meg Wen, who grew up with David Cohen, and so on, where the reckless driving incident was Flynn construction van. He was over in Wilkinsburg. So you have these kinds of couch casting routines, they're called. Joseph Goebbels, who Will Zell uh, uh, parading the justifications of Ming Na Wen from Mount Desert Island, was extolling the virtues of Joseph Goebbels. And of course, Peter Gabriel and Obama sided with him because supposedly, even though his gang was running recklessly around Kelly's School elementary buses, was siding with the black man because they were promoting a tryst with a Japanese symbol and a black man, and this brought the warriors out of the shadows of Seattle for the Black Panther and the Green Party. That's why he's such a noble African warrior. The Goebbels gets the honorary swastika of the ancestors from the African lobby. Winner take all stuff. And it seems highly illogical. I mean, why would he be, the honorary the black man when he could have killed a black child running recklessly at the school bus? because the white hypocrite was being shown for what he is, which was a protesting passenger screaming in fury at the incident. But that's beside the point because Goebbels got the last laugh with Midori Goto and Ming-Na Wen, right? Now they want to poison the queer bait through the Seattle Police Department, of all things. So this gives you some idea of how the highly illogical actually plays out toward the force in Pittsburgh and Seattle. The honorary, the black man, win, 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 win. And this is the situation with these non-losers, and they just see it as a winner take all situation when it comes to the spread of COVID and stuff like that. It's not exactly exciting on the level of trying to explain it to children. I mean, that's one of the problems. How do you explain all this to children? So, but it's highly illogical. But supposedly, this is all the will of Lenin. They're the good guys, right? That's where it's really very strange. You see, Gail Burstyn, who wrote the script supposedly about John Lennon's death, has a look-alike on Robert Fripp's album who claims he is avenging Lennon in the name of Gail Burstyn. She scripted his death, and they are avenging Lennon in her name. She scripted his death, and they are avenging Lennon in her name. How does that work? It's highly illogical until you consider the possibility that double fantasy was a double fantasy. It was use of a double. Clint Eastwood used to call where eagles there, where doubles there, because they didn't do the stunts themselves. There's a Bond movie, James Bond movie, that opens with the report in the newspaper that James Bond has been killed. And who's reading the newspaper but James Bond himself? It's called You Only Live Twice. And this is why he has a song called Cleanup Time, evidently. My research shows that this is the central possibility that vanishes all the other possibilities because it's impossible. So it's now possible that Gail Burstyn is avenging John Lennon despite having scripted his demise. That's more possible. And so we should be supporting the people who were behind the attacks. This comes the reasoning cycle of the stupids in Seattle and Pittsburgh. There's no other word for them, unless they're actually consciously trying to eviscerate all reason and sensibility in our society. There's no other explanation. Nobody wants you to be called stupid, but the whole thing appears to be over the heads of even the Federal Bureau of Investigation is grossly psychologically incapable. They're doing one of these, mommy, mommy, because they're psychologically grossly incapable of grappling with the reality of this problem. It's sinister and it's far out, but who gets the last laugh? A Japanese woman who's targeting the son of a naval lieutenant from the north coast of Japan when the war ended. It's ridiculous. And it's all principled on the Louis Lapham of Harper's Magazine and Lapham's Quarterly's claim that I could have known what was going on. I could have known what was going on. You still don't know what's going on, you stupid.